Hi, sixth graders. I'm so glad you're watching this. This is just a review for multiplying and dividing decimals. It is tricky to remember where we put our new decimals in our answers, so it's important to know the correct steps of multiplying and dividing. So first, we are going to go over multiplying. If I were you, I would write all of this in your notebook nice and neat. And you can stop and pause me and write in anything that you want to add in to make sure that you remember how to do it correctly. So if we have 3.54 times 6.4, well, if we're adding and subtracting, we do always line up the decimal points. For multiplying, we do not. Instead, we line up our numbers so they are all even, straight up and down, or vertical, from right to left. Okay? So 3.54 times 6.4. So from the right side, there's a number on top and below each other, nice and organized. So we line them up. Now we multiply like normal, and we're going to just disregard our decimals completely for now. So 4 times 5 is 20, and I know that some of you multiply just a little bit differently, and if you want to do that way, that's totally fine. You would just multiply 345 times 64. So whichever way you know how to multiply, do that, but I'm going to do it this way for now. So 4 times 5 is 20. I put my 0 here, and I carry my 2 up here. 4 times 4 is 16, plus 2 would be 18. So here's my 8, and then carry my 1. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 1 is 13. Okay, now I have to add a 0 right here because I'm multiplying in my tens spot. So then 6 times 5 is 30. So here's my 0. Carry my 3. 6 times 4 is 24. Plus 3 is 27. Carry my 2. 6 times 3 is 18. Plus 2 is 20. And now I add them together. So I have 0, 8, 10, 1 and 1 is 2, and 2. Okay, so now my next step is to count how many digits behind each decimal in our original numbers. So 2 here and 1 here. So I take my 2 and I take my 1, I add them together, which is 3, and it tells me that my new decimal point, because right now, even though we can't see it, our decimal point is right here. I need to move it over 3. So 1, 2, 3. So my product of 3.45 times 6.4 is 22.080. And then I asked myself, well, 3.45 is, if we rounded down, it would be 3. 6.4, if we rounded down, would be 6. So 3 times 6 is 18. So we want to make sure our answer is near 18, which it is, and obviously it's a little more because it's a little more than 3 and a little more than 6. If I got 220.80, but I was still multiplying 3 and 6, well, then I would know that I probably put my decimal in the wrong spot because it doesn't make sense that a little more than 3 and a little more than 6 would equal 220. Okay, we have 12.4 times 5.67. So if you want to pause me and do this on your own, feel free. Otherwise, we have 12.4 and 5.67. So I line up my numbers again, and now we multiply. 7 times 4 is 28. 7 times 2 is 14. Plus 2 would be 16. 7 plus 1 is 8. I add my 0 for my 10 spot. So 6 times 4 is 24. I have another 2, so 6 times 2 is 12. Plus 2 is 14. My 1 again, so 6 times 1 plus 1 would be 7. Now I'm going to add 2 zeros because there's 2 places behind my 5. Oops, 5 times 4 is 20. I have my 2 already, so 5 times 2 is 10 plus 2 is 12. And then there's my 1. 5 times 1 is 5 plus 1 is 6. So I have 8. 6 plus 4 is 10. 8 plus 4 is 12. And then the 1 is 13. 10 and 7. Now I count my digits behind my decimal. I have 1 and then 1, 2. So the total, add them together, is 3. And so my new place would be right here because I go 1, 2, 3. 70.308 would be my product to 12.4 times 5.67. Dividing decimals. So if we have 13.44 divided by 2.4, well, we take our first number and we put it inside the box. The first number always goes inside. 13.44 divided by 2.4. Okay? The first thing we do is we want to make this number outside of the box a whole number. So we can do that by multiplying by 10. Whatever we do to the outside, we have to do to the inside. It's just kind of like equations and fractions and all that other stuff. So basically multiplying by 10 just moves my decimal point over to the right one. So if I move my decimal point over to the right one, then I have to move my decimal point over to the right one in here too. So I'm going to rewrite this so it's nice and neat. So 24 is outside. Inside would be 134.4. So 134.4 divided by 24. I'm going to take my decimal point and put it directly above on top of the box. This is where my new decimal point is going to go. And now I'm going to divide. So 24 does not go into 13, but it does go into 134 5 times. 5 times 24 is 120. We subtract 134 minus 20, or 120 is 14. 24 does not go into 14, so I'm going to bring my 4 down. 24 goes into 144 6 times, and it goes into it exactly, so then we're done. We already have brought our decimal point up, so our answer then is 5.6. We do not change it back. We do not do anything because we already figured out where the decimal is going to go. Okay, let's do another one. 68.661 divided by 25.43. So 68.661 divided by 25.43. Well, I know that I have to move my decimal point over to the right 2 in order to make that a whole number. So I'm going to move my decimal point over to the right 2 also. And I have, so I'm going to rewrite it again, 6,866.1 divided by 2,543. I know that these are really big numbers. So I'm going to take my decimal, move it directly up on top, and now I'm going to divide. Now I just disregard my decimal while I divide. So 2,543 does not go into 686, but it does go into 6,866. It goes into it 2 times, and then we have 5,086, because 2 times 2,543 is that. So then 6,866 minus 5,086 is 1,780, which we know it does not go into. So now I'm going to bring my 1 down. 17,801. 2,543 goes into it 7 times. 7 times 2,543 equals that big old number. And then we are done. We don't do anything to our decimal, so we just leave it. Okay? My last example for you. 89.35 divided by 4.25. So 89.35 divided by 4.25. Okay, move the decimal over 2. So move the decimal over 2. Let's rewrite it so we have it nice and neat. So 425 is our new whole number. And then 8,935. Whoops. So I know that, and then my decimal is right after here. So I know that my decimal is going to go right here. Now I know that 425 does not go into 8 or 89, but I do know that it goes into 893 2 times. So my first number is going to go right here, remember, because we figured out that it goes into 893 2 times. So it needs to go right above the 2. 2 times 425 is 850. 893 minus 850 is 43. I know that it doesn't go in there, so I bring my 5 down. It goes into 435 once. 1 times 425 is 425. We have 10 left. Now, because I have my decimal here, I can add as many zeros as I need to, because any zeros after the decimal point really does not change the number at all. So we can have as many as we want behind there. So I'm going to add a 0 and bring it down, and I can see that 425 still does not go into 100. So up here it's going to be 0. 0 times 425 is 0. And then I have 100 minus 0 is 100. I'm going to add one more 0 and bring it down. I know that 425 goes into 1,000 twice. Again, 1,000 minus 850 is 150. We can add another 0 and bring it down, or we can just stop after 2 places, and we are just going to leave it at 21.02. Okay, so you do not need to write all this down, but this is just important things to know about multiplying and dividing. So remember, do not line up the decimals. Then you multiply like normal and disregard the decimals. This is for multiplying, by the way, which I noticed I just spelled wrong. And then you count the total number of digits behind each decimal. The total number, you would add them up. And then that's how many digits you move to the left in your product. For dividing, we know we set up appropriately with the box. Make the number outside of the box a whole number by moving the decimal, and then you need to do the same thing inside the box. Put the decimal on top of the box and then you divide like normal. That is all I have for you. You can always give yourself other multiplication and division problems to do, and then check yourself with the calculator. So you do not need to go in and do a NICU quiz, but make sure that you watch this video again if you're still confused, and make sure that you keep practicing on multiplying and dividing. Have a good night.